Hi there, I'm Amanda Cromhoth from Truth. Welcome to the Blind Loyalty Challenge. We interview world experts in loyalty blindly. We're hoping to create insight, spontaneity, and a lot of fun through the challenge. The challenge is about promoting the blind loyalty trust, and my book called Blind Loyalty, 101 Loyalty Concepts Radically Simplified. All profits from the book go towards the trust. We hope you enjoy the Blind Loyalty Challenge. So, hello, Sebastian. We have Sebastian Huschner, who is the product strategy lead for customer loyalty at Aer Lingus. So, Sebastian, how are you today?
Yeah, Amanda, hi. Thanks for having me. I'm very well. How are you
Great.
doing? Okay.
Yeah, I'm good. And I think we need to let everyone know for the Blind Loyalty Challenge that we actually considered doing this live after the International Loyalty Awards dinner, and we actually thought better of it at the time.
We thought so, yeah, because it was nearing midnight, I believe, on that day. So we thought we have a bit more of a relaxed time zone to choose from and do it virtually instead. But yeah, I do
Yeah,
remember
I think I think it's a bit
adjusting
more
it.
controlled now. So
I would think so, yeah. So good idea. Thanks for having me again.
yeah, wonderful. So because you are obviously in the depths of airline loyalty, and a project very dear to my heart was the launch of One World many, many decades ago when I worked at British Airways. So I wanted to ask you, what is the power of is the power of global alliances for the loyalty industry and FFPs and airlines?
Yes, I think overall, from a customer perspective, it really offers choice. It really offers the ability to use different carriers, take advantage of frequent flyer benefits, but also align when it comes to different partnerships for on the ground or whilst flying when using carriers that belong to an alliance. It can really make a difference for customers of who to choose, who to fly with, and hence from a loyalty angle and from an airline perspective, it really drives that additional revenue because customers may choose you over another and are more than happy, especially if tier credits are involved, to choose you over a competitor. And I think
Yeah.
that's a powerful tool that we're not just seeing in One World, we're seeing that across the Star Alliance, or as well the Sky Team Alliance as well, and the ongoing enhancements and the ongoing changes to memberships or adding new members to the alliances really show there is power in it and there
Mm,
is additional revenue in it from an airline perspective to continue
yeah.
to invest in those. And I feel like based on what we're seeing, where the airline industry is evolving and the importance of loyalty as a result of it, the strategy seems to be paying off.
I think, yeah, and as a user of airlines, I think so many people listening to this will be. I personally find the tier credits across the alliance carriers the most important. It's almost like the mileage points are a given. I'll get that on whichever airline I choose, but those tier credits really count. You know, if I'm trying to climb the tiers or maintain my tiers, it's a really powerful tool to choose the airline within your own alliance, your preferred alliance.
Yeah, and that's true. And I think, Amanda, that's where more work needs to be done. I think we made some good progress within One World. But yeah, it's only recently that that it was introduced for Aer Lingus, for example, that reciprocal tier credits earn is possible between the British Airways and the Aer Lingus carriers as well. So I think as more alliances are fetched, and in our case, it's the Avios currency as the sort of loyalty currency that members really care about. But at the same time, it would probably drive even more revenue and potential uplifts to the alliances and airlines if the alignment on tier credits can be supported. As
Mm,
we know from some of the other people that you interviewed before, status is what members really care about and what really gives you that additional benefit over your other frequent passengers or frequent flyers, as and when
yeah.
you're traveling across the world outside your home market and preferred airline choice, I guess.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've read Alchemy by Rory Sutherland, but he states in there that that as a passenger, if you're not flying on your preferred airline or if you're not a member of the FFP, he naturally feels 30% more nervous the night before he flies. And I think that is that status, whether it's a high status or just a recognized status, gives you that reassurance that if something goes wrong, I'm going to be okay. But
Yeah,
yeah, we're all chasing that same
yeah.
status.
It's definitely
Like
coming through in consumer feedback as well,
behavior,
as you
yeah.
mentioned there. Probably not so much within probably the main carriers of IAG, I would say, but that's probably because I'm probably closer aligned to it. But that sort of nervousness is definitely what comes through in user research and
Mm.
verbatims that I certainly read on frequent flyer forums.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, let's stay in the frequent flyer arena because you are part of an airline. So in chapter 76, we unpack frequent flyer loyalty in the FFP. So what, in your opinion, is the one thing airlines need to get right to make their FFP as compelling as possible?
Mm, so I think the topic has always been around how do I onboard customers? How do I make it easy for them to join? How do I give them a reason to become part of my program? Um, I think the COVID pandemic has shown us that just by focusing or putting your eggs in one basket and getting your members to fly may be a risky strategy depending on the sort of wider outlook and where the world has been back in the day. And I think the overall focus of having a proposition that not just works in your home market in the air, but also on the ground is something that not just alliances, but airlines and frequent flyer programs in itself have been focusing on a lot more strongly and a lot more heavily and will do so in the future. I see a lot of movement when it comes to representing your brand and allowing your members to potentially earn tier by not flying, by just using a credit card,
Yeah,
purchasing with partners that are on the ground whilst you eat out or sleep over around town, shall we say. And I think if that sort of ongoing collaboration, not just from a retailer, but also from a financial services perspective, if that continues to grow, then there might be an ongoing, and we already see the start of that shift towards that I can actually earn my status and I can continue to earn it, and the airline is happy for me to earn it on a mixed behavior or purely on an on the ground behavior.
yeah.
So I think that that's important when it comes to the sort of loyalty and how we need to get it right as a program. The second bit I would mention there, Amanda, would be how do you stick true to your brand and how do you represent it with every customer interaction? And I think what is very often overlooked is the sort of customer service aspect and how difficult it
Yeah,
is for members um, to really solve very simple queries. And I think new tools such as generative AI, for example, can really help us in order to identify what is the customer need when they contact us in the first place, which may or may not be voice.
yeah,
And how do you hold to your brand promise when you help a customer that has been disrupted versus somebody that probably just needs to read an FAQ?
yeah.
And I think that if you overlay that with your sort of in the air and on the ground partnership proposition, then I think these are areas that should receive continued focus and investment across the loyalty industry.
Yeah, lovely. I love that. I love the tag there on customer service. So fantastic. So my last question is one of the areas that has the biggest frustration for so many members. Chapter 58 in Blind Loyalty talks about the expiry of points. What is your view on points expiry?
Yeah, you get a loyalty view, and then I think
A prof
you get
a
a CFO
professional
view as
view.
well, which I think you have had in the past on the show as well. So I think from an expiry perspective, I have worked with carriers that operated a no expiry policy, but also with carriers that operate an expiry policy. I think expiring points is probably more the norm these days in loyalty programs, and it can be hugely frustrating for members, especially if they are not being made aware based on the behavior that they show or display to the airline, which
Yeah.
may or may not be regular. I think from a financial perspective, expiring points make sense. From a customer perspective, it's exactly the opposite. So I think if I want to work with my finance team, I would always look, well, what can I do in order to warn members or include expiry messaging accordingly as part of my customer lifecycle management
Of
messaging.
course.
And I think if I only start a month in advance, I'm probably a little bit too late. So I think when I introduce messaging that maybe starts 6 months out, or if I give members opportunities to use small balances and share them at little to no cost with fellow members, fellow friends or family members, I think that is something where we can actually address the challenge that will always come back from a financial perspective, where literally if we don't expire, then we have them on the books, and that's not
Yeah,
good either from a balance perspective for us.
of course.
So I think my take on would be if the sort of financial department is really adamant about it, and we can certainly see that probably in the majority of the schemes that I'm aware of, we should probably think about, well, what can we do from a customer perspective to prevent the negative experience and the I don't want to engage with you again moment of truth that
Mm.
may or may not come once your smaller or sometimes bigger balances expires.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's probably the most emotive subject in our industry around the difference between the internal struggle and the external customer expectations. So thank you for
Yeah.
acknowledging that. So I saw earlier when I started asking you questions that you're proudly supporting your blind loyalty bracelet. So thank you for still wearing it many, many weeks after we first met. So great, great support of blind loyalty.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sebastian. You came through in flying colors, flying airline colors, excuse the pun. So who would you like to tag to take up the blind loyalty challenge next?
Okay, good question. I think I would go with Dan Martin, who is the head of loyalty at Riyadh Air, a carrier that we're all looking at with extreme interest, a digital first carrier. It is not flying yet, but I'm pretty sure Dan will be a good interviewee and to share with us his insights over many years of loyalty experience.
Wonderful. Thank you. I don't know Dan, so I look forward to the introduction. So great. Sebastian, thank you so much. I'm glad we recorded this in a controlled environment rather than live from the International Loyalty Awards last month,
Likewise,
2 months
Alana.
ago.
Sounds good.
Thank you.